frying pan.
And into the fire. Run. Run!
Hello and welcome to episode 44 of Out of the Frying Pan, a Middle-earth strategy battle game podcast.
Quite a merry gathering. What's that? Tea? No, thank you. A little red wine, I think, for me.
How's it going, mate?
All good, thank you. It seems a bit weird doing this, doesn't it? It's a bit weird actually not having to be too conscious about the fact I'm on camera for once, which is always interesting.
This is the first time we've recorded Out of the Frying Pan with our cameras on, isn't it? We normally don't subject each other to each other's faces, but because we're also going to be recording something afterwards that requires cameras, we switched them on early. But of course, the good listeners can't see our faces, which is good for the Out of the Frying Pan listeners, and maybe not so good for the Hobby Hour viewers later on. But so a bit of a shorter episode this time round, Dan. We wanted to discuss a cool event that you've been involved in and running, and have a little bit of a catch up and make sure that we're still putting some Out of the Frying Pans out there as well, because we still want to keep this show going even though it's slowing down a little bit, and talk a little bit about what we're up to. So shall we start off with some news, Dan? Do you want to fire out what's the news we've had in the Middle-earth world since we last recorded?
Well, it's been a bit thin on the ground. If you take the moaning out, which we do try to around here, we would leave us almost nothing. But we did get something at Warhammer Fest, which was a month ago now, circa a month. We got the Get Off the Road diorama. To those of you who have been hiding under a rock, it is the diorama from the same scene from the books, and although not titled as such, from the movies, where the hobbits hide under a log from a ring wraith when they're still in the Shire, when they've been told to get off the road after they found a shortcut to mushrooms and Merry breaks his carrot. So they've done a resin diorama. It's going to be forge wild. They've not mentioned prices yet. It looks awesome. For my personal opinion, it's an absolute banger. I appreciate not everyone's happy with it. A lot of people prefer a playing piece. Not going to especially get into that because we've already done the sort of talking about people moaning. Done it to death. So let's talk about the positives. It's a really lovely looking diorama. You can remove the ring wraith, which is pretty cool. Obviously you don't get a foot one, but it doesn't matter. It means you've finally got a resin mounted ring wraith, which makes me very happy. So it means I can actually put it in my Mordor army. Hooray! So happy days. But I think apart from that, we haven't had a huge amount. There's been numerous events announced for One World, the teams, doubles. Tickets have been on sale for both, I think now. Probably sold out. I
they usually sell out really
so I
quick,
didn't really pay attention.
Usually sell out like that, don't they? So I didn't look at the tickets this time around, so I don't know, but I'm assuming they've sold out. I'll be surprised if they haven't. It's normally, I know that Throne sells out super quick, but he's normally fairly quick as well, if not as quick. But that's it. Yeah, it has been thin on the ground. I suppose most of the people who listen to this that are interested in our thoughts on it would have potentially watched us discuss it on the Hobby Hour anyway, which we'll talk about what that is in a minute, just in case there's a few people that don't know what that is. But yeah, I think the miniature is absolutely stunning. And I think it's a bit of a shame that there's controversy around the amount of things that hasn't been announced that have probably detracted from how nice the miniature is. And had that been part of 3 or 4 things being announced, then people would have been raving about that as well. Unfortunately, it became a bit of a target for people's frustrations. And I can understand the frustration a little bit. If this is your only game you're into, I can understand why people would be disappointed. But yeah, it's about how you're disappointed. My boring logical brain tells me that there was a good reason why they couldn't show stuff, and they even hinted at that. So we've just trust them. They've done such a good job since the game's come back. Limited resources. Those that have been around the game for a few years, and then the people that have been around for many, many, many years, all think they've done I want to say all, a majority I'd say think they've done a pretty good job, and it'd be a shame to lose sight of that as the game grows and the community grows. It's not 40k, it's not Age of Sigmar, and those are the games that really have all of the resources put into them. It's a specialist designed studio game, and the resources are limited, and there are other restrictions and things as well. So we don't know what the reasons were, but just trust them that, I don't know, I just got the impression that they wanted to show more and they couldn't for whatever reason that is. And I'm sure we'll find out hopefully at some point in a few months or so. And I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and wait and see, rather than be all doom and gloom about it. I know some people are talking about licenses and things, but we'll find out when they're ready to tell us, I suppose. But I think that,
or even if they can. It's I don't think they get their kicks from saying we know what you don't, and I don't think there's anything of the sort in that, is there? I think it's just a case of the circumstances are what they are.
And regardless if they could tell us or not and haven't, it won't be the fault of the guys that are writing the game, working in the game, designing the miniatures, any of that kind of stuff. They don't have anything really to do with the businesses and licensing side of things. So if they've been told not to say anything, there's little they can do about it. So it always feels like, and not just Middle Earth, but any game system at Games Workshop, the ire seems to be targeted at the people that work in the studios and stuff, and it's not going to be them that are making decisions around that, unfortunately. So, but I love the miniature. It's fantastic. Looking forward to finding out some more stuff later in the year, hopefully, that cheers people up a little bit, because I think there'll be some more cool stuff to come. But yeah, with that being the end of the news, Dan, what have you been up to Middle-earth wise? Have you done anything Middle-earth wise since we last recorded?
Not a huge amount. I've got some bits and pieces on the block. It'll probably come as no surprise to anyone that I did have a planned Secret Army for Battlestream's meetup, which is now less than 3 weeks away. That's just not happened. Work has been pretty brutal. It's easing up slightly now, which is nice, but it's left me with not enough time left to get the army finished for that. Still not going to say what it is, because there's a potential I'll just paint it and take it to something else.
Fair enough. 600
points is a good amount. I'll get it done eventually. So that's a bit disappointing, unfortunately. I did do my Forge World Amon Hen, and I bought the head. Damn near fell over when the guy told me how much it was at the till. I went up to Warhammer World with the boys. We were playing other games. I did sort of play a bit of Heresy and a few other bits and pieces, but I thought, right, it's time to pick up that Amon Hen head. No prices, which is usually a bad sign. If you have to ask, you can't afford it. Got to the till, £30, please. I went, I mean, I bought it. Let's not kid around. I did buy it, but yeah. I'm not normally one for taking a lump out of anything really for prices, because it costs what it costs. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Kind of that's life, really, isn't it? But that one did sting a little bit. It is for a one-piece mold that's not particularly big. £30 did seem a little rough. But I suppose there's license fees and all this other stuff in it, and someone had to sculpt it and tool it and all that stuff. So I try not to whinge too much about it. So I painted that up alongside Amon Hen, ready for the event, which we'll come to. And apart from buying some plinths and finally getting Frodo his plinth sorted, because I did him at a Skiliath at 40mm one I did 3 months ago. That's all I've done, which isn't exactly a whole lot, which is kind of ties into why we've become more sporadic. I think we've put some bits and pieces out, but we've not really touched on it, have we? The fact that neither of us are doing much. The release schedule's a bit sparse, shall we put it? So I'm not for putting content out for content's sake. So that's why it's been so long since we've actually, one of us at least, has done something. And again, that's no knock on either one of us. It's just that neither of us have been doing something. I have done something, so we've got something to record.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's been a long time since I've done any Middle-earth hobby. I'm still really interested in the game, and I'm not quitting the game ever. But I am playing other things, and because I'm not an event goer, I think it's probably similar for you. There isn't something driving that all the time. So as my gaming sort of waxes and wanes, and I play other things and do other things, time is limited. So it'll be a new release or something that gets my juices flowing for a project or something. And there's lots of other exciting things at the moment. I've been still doing my historical bits, and the old world is, at some point on the horizon. It might be a horizon that's 2 years away, we don't know, but it's definitely got my juices flowing. I've been doing bits for that as well. So Middle-earth will definitely cycle back around, but that's why we've been less frequent. And like you said, we've got something to talk about today that's Middle-earth related, so we're giving it its due and putting it out on this platform. I suppose if anyone is listening to this and hasn't noticed, I suppose if you're not on social media or you don't use it much, you may have missed that Dan and I are doing a video podcast called The Hobby Hour, which is a general anything goes podcast. And that's kind of filling in the gaps a little bit for us to still have this conversation when there's less Middle-earthy stuff. Now, we'll talk about Middle-earth stuff on there anyway. We're going to be recording one of those later today as well, and we'll no doubt the stuff we talk about here will be talked about on that, but in a different kind of different weighting, so to speak. So the main topic here will be a part of Dan's hobby, what you've been up to kind of thing, rather than a more in-depth chat. So we are still around, so if you haven't heard that announcement and you do like just hearing us ramble on about painting and things, another hobby, look out for the Hobby Hour. I'm hosting it on my own YouTube channel, which is Miniature Realms, and as usual there's links all in the show notes and things for that, so go and listen to us there. So Out of the Frying Pan is not going anywhere. We're not going to just stop doing it, but it will be a sporadic release now, as and when something comes up, and we'll put a bit of a show out. And I'm sure in the future, when there's a new book or some new releases and we get into a run of it, there might suddenly be a spate of episodes on a one go. So just keep subscribed and enjoy us when we turn up in your podcast player. I've not done anything Middle-earth, as I've already said there, so there's little for me to sort of talk about there. I was supposed to do a Middle-earth commission in July. The client sadly had to pull out, sort of gutted. It was a Hobbit one as well. I was really one of those jobs I was super looking forward to doing, and so I was a bit sad, not just because I lost work, because I can change that, I can fix that, more because he's a really nice client and I was really looking forward to doing the work for him, but he had some car issues, so hopefully he's got that sorted and I get to do that again, and maybe next year or something like that. So my work Middle-earth went away from me as well. But anyway, shall we take a little break, Dan, and then when we'll come back we'll talk about the main topic of the show today, which is a little event you were running.
The hour grows late, and Blandalf Grey Plastic comes seeking my counsel. You are sure of this, Blandalf?
Yes, the event is fully painted. It was in the event pack, under my nose the whole time.
Yet you did not have the wit to see it. Your love for the Facebook group has slowed your mind. We must join him, Blandalf. The commission painter. We must be fully painted.
When did Surly Man the White give in to madness?
But I am now Surly Man of many colours.
Miniature Realm Studio is a commission painting service. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, or contact us directly at miniaturerealmstudio@gmail.com.
You have elected the way of paint.
Welcome back, and we're here for our main topic today, our Council of Elrond, and we're talking about the Dominion of Sauron, which is a Greetings of the Warp event. But I'll pass you over to Dan straight away, because he's the one that did this. I had absolutely nothing to do with this. So Dan, tell us about what the event was.
Well, you did allow me to besmirch Out of the Frying Pan's good name in pursuit of personal glory. No, not at all. It's basically, for those who aren't aware of who they are, there's a group of chaps who are in the Midlands called Greetings from the Warp. They started off doing 40k events, branched heavily into Heresy. They are one of the bigger organisers for Heresy. Really, really nice group of guys. And we have known each other for years. And last year, they approached me about running something Middle-earth related there, which we started looking at, but in the end it didn't really get off the ground. A few people may have seen at one point an abortive attempt to sell some tickets for something, but that sort of died on the vine a little bit. I think there were a number of reasons for that. So it wasn't promoted especially well, myself included, and I don't think we really knew what we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So, beginning of the year, I think it was beginning of the year. They came back. Chris Lord, who we'll speak about further in a bit. He's involved in it heavily, along with a guy called Andy. He approached and said, "Look, we want to give this another go, but we want to do it as part of like a specialist game weekend."
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing most people listening know what specialist games means, but at risk of teaching Grandma to suck eggs, it's the specialist game studio of Games Workshop. So you're talking Blood Bowl, Middle Earth, Necromunda, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What they wanted to do was a weekend, run in conjunction with the guys from Cottle Paint. They are sort of a painting community, but they have a patron. They do painting classes. They do live classes, or like road shows around the country. They were there as well, and they wanted to do an event that encapsulated all the cool things about specialist games. So we have 4 different events on over 2 days. There was 2 events on each day, single day events. There was Warhammer Fantasy Battle 8th edition.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a roll up to Old World. Everyone's really quite excited about that. And Adeptus Titanicus, and then that was Saturday, and then Sunday was myself running Middle Earth and the running Necromunda as well. So my event was called the Dominion of Sauron. 600 points, Green Alliance only event, not GBHL. Very much touted as being a friendly sort of community growth style event, because people will immediately jump on this and say, yes, there are events, but it is a bit thin on the ground around my area, Peterborough, for Middle-earth events. You've got obviously Harry running stuff over at Lincoln with Imps, and then there's some bits obviously in Seventh City, Nottingham.
Yeah.
And then otherwise it's sort of down London way. There's a few guys over obviously the East Anglia Hobbit League. They're doing stuff Norwich way, I think, for the most part.
You're kind of stuck in the
Around
middle
my area.
there of a lot of good hubs for gaming.
Yeah.
Because the area, your Peterborough area is quite big, and you've got a lot of gamers there, but you are stuck in the middle. For a start, you're very close to Nottingham, so a lot of people are just gonna. It's only an hour in the car for you, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, depends who you ask, but
It depends how heavy your foot is.
So there's a whole bunch of people doing bits and pieces around us, but sort of had a fledgling thing going for Middle Earth pre-COVID, but COVID sort of killed it off, and then they released what was it? The last edition of 40k, and then they've redone Heresy, so
yeah,
that's kind of taken hold again. So it was run nearly 2 weeks ago now. We're talking about it, so it was the first weekend of June, running over at Greetings for the Wharf, which is in Earthlingborough, which is just outside Northampton.
Yeah.
Obviously, I really, really enjoyed myself. Firstly, I will say is that when this episode goes out, there'll be some snaps from taken from over the weekend. The tables, the armies on parade.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few bits and pieces. I didn't get as much in the way of photos as I wanted to, because we're busy running the thing, which was cool. There were 12 players all in all. I will, for the sake of this, actually sort of read them all out, because I'm really grateful to every single one of them for coming out and playing some games and taking a risk on a relative unknown in terms of tournament organisation within the Middle-earth community. So
yeah, absolutely.
Oliver Jeffcoat, Ben Taylor, Harvey Rob John, Richard Neal, Robert Davies, Nathan Talbot, Jack Darlington, Carl Daly, Boris Herzog, James Barrett, Julian Harris, and James Richardson. You are all legends, and I very much appreciate you taking the risk on me and coming down with a really, really, really positive attitude. Played some cracking games, brought some beautiful armies. I can't thank you all enough. I might have put it on, but you guys made the event, so thank you to you all.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like some names I recognise there. So
yeah, there were 3 of the battle streamers in James Barrett, Carl, and Nathan.
Yep.
which was really cool. The fact they came down. Obviously, the B-Side lot are a good bunch, and they all came down with the right attitudes and made it really friendly. There were a bunch of new people who came. It was two people's first Middle-earth event they'd ever been to, which was cool, which was my mate Ben, and James Richardson came along as well. He brought his Azog's Legion. Really, really lovely chap. Ben's a lovely chap as well, but I think I know him better than that. I've known him too long to say that. Keep a straight face. No, he's a good lad. And I'm really glad he came because he's been sort of neck deep in doing Heresy and other bits and pieces as well. So it was really good to see him playing some Middle-earth.
Yeah, nice. It seems like it's the perfect size and the type of event you were going for. It just sounds like it's the right thing to do for a new player. It's that perfect kind of thing you want as often as a new player, isn't it? To blood yourself in a new game system. Is that one day sort of 12 people-ish around that sort of mark. It's just exactly what you need to not be overawed, not hit too many big names on big tables at the top kind of thing, and just know you're going to have a nice relaxed time.
Yeah, I mean, there was some... the armies were nice and varied. There wasn't one single Rohan player, which I was gobsmacked, because there's always Rohan. We did have Assault on Lothlorien, but it was a really chilled out list and played really, really well. And if I remember rightly, he actually lost 2 of his 3 games as well.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Rob's a really nice chap, though. He was at Throne alongside James. Met them last year in December. Really, really, really lovely pair of guys. And Rob does some really cool gaming, sort of kind of like carry cases / display cases. He had one of them with him. Goes by, I think it's Revenant Miniatures. He contacted me. I'm going to actually pick one up. They're really, really, really nice. Revenant Miniatures. So we'll find a way of linking that in the show notes.
Yeah, well, I want send me a link as well. I'm interested. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. But he brought his Assault on Lothlorien. We had a couple of Army of the Dead players, 2 Mumacs. One was runners Harad with camels. That was Jack Darlington's army. Really, really nice army, that.
Yeah, I think I
saw. And then Ben took his elephant as well. Running a sort of mix of Harad / Serpent Horde. And then we had a Breaking of Fellowship, which is pretty cool to see at that point. What else did we have? We had Azog's Legion. Oh no, were they Azog's? They were Azog's Legion because there was some Gundabad Orcs in there.
Yeah.
What else did we have? We had some Rivendell Elves, and we had a really cool sort of Minister of Soup list from Carl. We had Goblin Town.
Nice.
Which wasn't nearly as egregious as it could be. Boris running that, he got a number of most sporting votes for that, so it goes to show, you can play those slightly soupy lists and still, big old horde lists and give your opponent a really good, fun, engaging time as well, rather than just, spending 5 million years moving goblins.
True.
Yeah, there was just a really, really lovely bunch of people. And it was really good to see people again as well, people who haven't seen in a while. As I said, we played 3 games.
Yep.
We played just games out of the match play guide. As I said, it was a beginner's event. So what I wanted to do was stick to games. I didn't want to write custom scenarios. I wanted to write stuff that's in the book, that's relatively well known, it's balanced.
Yeah.
It's game types that would allow people who hopefully in the right spirit, if they were playing a newer player, would know the scenarios well and assist them and play them together.
Yeah.
Which seemed to be the case. Everyone was sort of helping each other out. And, I think I was asked about 2 or 3 questions the whole day in terms of rules, which was really good because that was probably the most terrifying part for me because I'm not as up on the rules as other people, but luckily they're all questions I could answer and they were right, as it turns out. Hooray. Can't argue with that. So yeah, we played 3 games: Domination, Destroy the Supplies, and Assassination.
Nice. Did you?
None of them were, I think, are particularly egregious or too swingy. There's opportunity for all.
Not at all. Did you random? Did you pick those, or were they random?
I picked those.
Yeah, that's a nice way to do it when it's that kind of event.
Because, yeah, I mean, like some of the seize the prize can go very wrong very quickly, and a contest of champions, if you get a bad matchup, the game's almost over before it begins. So it was good to play some relatively well balanced against each other, relatively open, not too swingy scenarios that would allow people to just have a laugh, really.
Yeah, and if you're running your first event as well, you can, if you pick them beforehand, you can always make sure that you're well and truly swatted up on the scenarios you're running that day as well, which I'm sure was helpful. Did you run it Swiss on your computer, or did you use any particular software or anything to do it? Or
I just put people together. I mean, for game one, I knew roughly who most of the people involved were. So what I tried to do was pair new players with people who are slightly more tenured, and as I know them, not to cast any aspersions on anyone else, but there were people I knew who were really good with new players, who were friendly and really welcoming and patient, and would show them a really good time.
Good.
And then after that, I just generally let people pick who they wanted to play.
Oh, nice. That's a nice approach.
And then paired up the remainder.
Yeah. So did you have it as placings then, or was it just like a more of an open play?
No, it was entirely open play. It may upset. There's probably people with Jamie, if you're listening to this, might hear his head implode sometime in the next week or two. There were no prizes for placing.
Cool.
None whatsoever. I was not in the habit of rewarding placing. That may not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's absolutely fair enough. People get different things from different games, but I didn't want to encourage people to go hard. I wanted to encourage people to do some really nice hobby, turn up and have a really good laugh with people, encourage people to be as, welcoming and inclusive and friendly as possible.
Excellent.
And kind of that's what we did, really. There were 4 prizes. Peer voted best army, and I was very specific about saying best army because that means that if you like someone's theme, it doesn't matter if it's not technically the best painted.
Yeah,
but if they've put some effort into it and made a nice theme, I mean, it can be the best painted. I mean, that's something to be considered. But and that was won by Jack Darlington. Obviously, by the time this comes out, you should be able to go onto the Add to the Frying Pan group page or onto our main Facebook page and find the armies. I'll put their names underneath each of them. I think the stickers are actually in the actual pictures, but I will caption them anyway. He had his Mahud army with the camels and stuff. Really nice army. That got best army voted by peers. Best painted, which was TO voted, and I got some of the other TOs from the other events to sort of chip in and give me their opinion as well. It was won by James Barrett. He took his Rise of the Necromancer Legion.
Nice.
Really, really nice. He done a little display for it and everything. Really cool little looking force that. Wooden Spoon was Mr. Nathan Talbot.
So you didn't do placings, but you did do last place.
I did do last place. I thoroughly encouraged a race to the bottom, and it could only ever have been won by Nathan, who was always thoroughly.
Did you only do last place because you knew he was coming? And
well, no. To be fair, I thought it was just a really nice way of rewarding the people who just turned up and gave it a really good go.
I was only joking. I mean, but the fact that you already had his name engraved on the spoon was.
I did contemplate actually buying the spoon, but every time I do that, you have to treat it. Otherwise, because whenever you write or paint on it, it just absorbs into it. Unless you buy a really expensive wooden spoon, and I'm not doing that.
No.
So every time we've bought a wooden spoon, and I've tried to write it on a permanent marker, it just ends up like bleeding out like a 40-year-old tattoo. It's not good. And then I couldn't believe it when I said it, but Sportsman went to Ben Taylor.
Ooh, okay,
which
cool. Well done, Ben.
Was his first event, and I love the bloke to death, but he is the world's most, I would say, well-versed professional wind-up you have ever met.
Yes.
He turns being a wind-up into an art form. I've never met anyone who can annoy me or make me mad so fast. And he loves it. And he'll look at you square in the eye, and he'll hold it, and then he'll grin. And I was, but yeah, he won Sportsman, which is really, really nice. He obviously had a really good time, which was good. Everyone had a good time playing him, which again is great. With his elephant, which has been interestingly modelled. I may have mentioned this elephant previously in the podcast.
Yes.
The fact that people could see how that had been modelled from across the room was telling.
Oh dear.
go and consult the pictures, people. You'll be able to see. Worth it for that alone, probably. But yeah, we played some really good games, and the food's always good there because Mr. Chris Lord, he has become somewhat of a sort of a smoker barbecue aficionado.
Oh,
He's become very, very good at it. Very, very good at it. So all of the food now that's served at Ratings from the Warp events is barbecue,
oh God, sounds
which
good.
is awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So he does sort of all the burger stuff, but there was pork belly burnt ends and buffalo wings, and
Oh God, sounds really good.
he did nachos and all sorts of stuff.
You're making me
Really good.
hungry thinking about it. It sounds
Played
good.
so badly that weekend, so badly. But yeah, so good times had by all. Again, huge thanks to everyone who came. To other people in the other events who came over and were really kind. To the other event organisers, James, who ran Necromunda, we sort of pitched in together and helped set the hall up because we were both doing the Sunday.
Yeah.
And he's a lovely chap, and his Necromunda boards are absolutely mental. So if you get the opportunity, people go and have a look on Instagram for Tabletop War James. His boards, I mean, they've got LEDs, resin pours. It's
he does
absolutely
stuff.
bonkers how much he's done.
Yeah, just definitely search.
Really,
He's
really
got some
impressive.
good social media. I think he's still doing stuff on his YouTube channel. I don't know if he.
I think he's done a few bits of late, yes.
So definitely.
So
worth looking at.
his stuff's well worth a look. And then Andy, who's of Greetings for the Warp, he ran the Warhammer Fantasy Battle on the Saturday, which looked awesome. There were some really, really nice armies there. You'd have been in your element. You'd have absolutely loved it.
I'm sure it would be.
And then Alex Riddick, he ran Div Titanicus, and your erstwhile former podcast host was there.
Tom, bless him.
He has not changed at all.
You know, he's not still loud and sweary, is he? God, that was.
Yes, he is. Incredibly loud, incredibly sweary. Yes.
Bless. I keep thinking we should.
He has not changed at all.
We need to get him on the hobby hour to talk about stuff he does with Adeptus Titanicus at some point. But I'm going to have to get the bleep out a lot, I think. I don't want to be demonetized on my channel for that. But we'll have to cross that bridge one day. But it would be good to get him on.
Yeah, definitely. It was good, and obviously, you and I have spoken about making plans to sort of do a hobby day this year,
Yes.
and I said to him he'll have to pop by and swear for us. when we do
Yeah,
that.
well, I can definitely swear myself. I just don't do it on with the microphone in front of me. I try not to. Yeah, we do need to arrange that. My year filling up. Well, but it won't be to the autumn. Put it that way, because my whole summer is taken care of already, and it was a month ago.
Yeah.
It's,
And back end of October and beginning of November are pretty chocker for me as well.
So
including,
as
Mr.
usual,
Chris
we
Murphy's
will
wedding.
get. Oh, cool. All right, so we keep talking about it, but I looked at my summer and went and then didn't think about it again. So we do need to plan something in.
Well, one thing we haven't talked about that we have organised is we are going to see each other at CrackCon.
Yes,
later in the year.
yes, here we are. So you're not playing Middle Earth, funnily enough, but I'm sure we'll talk about that on the hobby hour in a bit more detail. But yes, we will see each other then. But we've definitely got to arrange something other than that so we can get a few games in. Definitely some Middle Earth, and then try out something else as well, no doubt.
Play a bit of Fantasy Battle. I should have some stuff painted by then.
That would be good. Well, if we're painting, I'll try and get some stuff painted. Depends. Well, it depends when we meet up, doesn't it? Really,
It does.
Really, really does, and depends
Yeah,
what
anytime
rules.
soon there'll be nothing painted. I tell you
No.
that.
No, well, I still haven't painted any more of mine. Well, I'm painting individual models, but again, we'll save that chatter for the hobby hour. So if you're intrigued by that, dear listener, you'll have to go over to YouTube to hear about our chat about that kind of stuff. So back to your event stuff then. So what's your? Is it something you want to run again next year, or is it?
There's already been discussions about it. Only initial forays of, do you want to do that again? And everyone's good. Yeah, I'd be up for doing that again. So, yep, good. There's a good chance we will. Hopefully, Carl Paint will be back again because what I might do is Andy was running 2 events, Saturday and Sunday. Andy Wardle, he ran Brush Skills on the Saturday, and as luck would have it, he ran Non-Metal Metallics on the Sunday, which is something I'd like to go and do one day course on that. So hopefully next year, provided the way things are set up and everything allows for it, I might want to do one of the courses as well while I'm there.
He's going to make sure he does the course that you want to do on the day that you're not running the event. So.
This is true, but you never know.
Where's the TO? Where's the TO? Oh, he's off painting over there again.
Gallivanting.
Is there anything you do differently this time? What have you? Is there anything you learned from? You think, I didn't like the way that worked. You change it.
I was very, very fortunate in my friends because, admittedly, I painted a few bits up, including the M1 Hen bits, and fixed some bits of the table that I'd done for CrackCon when we went the other year. I was reliant on other people for some of my terrain.
Yes.
And I think I'd like to have some more stuff prepped for next time if we're going to do it. So big thanks to Carl. He brought a few bits and pieces, I had some generic terrain which I'd have borrowed off Shep, who was there for the weekend. He was playing Adeptus Titanicus and Necromunda. Really nice guy. He's Peterborough local. And I pinched some of his more generic stuff I was able to add some of Carl's Middle-earth sort of Osculiath ruins and bits and pieces too to bring it in line. And all the tables look really nice actually by the end of it. So I am very grateful to those who pitched in to help. I would like to have more of that in my control next time because it was a little bit of a concern, niggling down at the back of my head.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Middle-earth is good in that sense that hasn't got a really, really it's got a strong aesthetic, but so much of it is the real world. So you can go a long way with having a big stock of generic hills and trees and that kind of stuff, but stuff that would work for historical gaming as much as just general. Generic 28mm scenery, but then you do want a few little things that are recognizable from Middle-earth to really kind of give it that feel. So maybe 3D printed stuff is the way to go. It's also really hard wearing. Some of if you get your FDM sort of style stuff, you can be, if you varnish it well, it can just be chucked in a box as well. It's really super light and takes not being knocked, whereas if you scratch build stuff or you've got MDBF buildings and stuff like that, they don't tend to survive many events very well, but the 3D printed stuff tends to work.
That's all his. He printed out so much forest stuff. I stole most of it, did 2 tables worth with it, and then he had some really nice ice terrain as well, so I pinched that and put some Osculiath ruins in that to look a bit like Angmar. Kind of Fornosty kind of thing going on there. So there was some cool tables, which again I've got to say thank you to the people who assisted me on. So cheers, guys, really appreciate it. Most of this is me thanking other people who basically organised the whole thing for me. I did very little, but there was a lot of faffing about, and the week preceding was an awful lot of admin, creating. Obviously, I had to create the players packs. I did that a little while ago, which I actually quite enjoy. That's a hangover from previous events I used to do for Heresy and stuff. I always quite like doing a pack. But it was also because I've got all the PDFs of the books and stuff, like the ebooks rather. So I was able to snag the scenarios out and print those off, and that way I could do handouts. I had to do all my slips and all of that stuff in the lead up to the event. Is the dull stuff, but it needs to be done to make it run smooth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was most of it.
Well, I'm glad it went well for you. It sounds like that the players enjoyed it as well. You didn't seem too stressed leading up to it, and you seem happy enough afterwards. So it's always a good sign. Just tired, but that's probably your work more than.
I wish I'd taken that Monday off. As it turned out, it's probably a good job I didn't, come to think of it, because it's been fun times at work in the last week or two. But I was tired. Still not really caught up, to be fair, because piled straight into the weekend, got tattooed, and then it's been 30 degrees practically, so sleep hasn't come easy.
Nope.
Say that to a parent, so I can't really moan about sleep, can I?
It's getting to the stage now. Youngest is 4. He sleeps through most nights now. No, still not all, most. And I'm at this glorious stage where it's mostly 7 o'clock onwards when the first one's awake. It's like dead on 7, but it's been 8 years of having always been woken up before 7 o'clock. So that's back in the realms of just getting up for work time rather than getting up before work time. So it's getting better, definitely getting better. Right then, right. So let's take a really, really quick break, and we'll come back and close the show down. And welcome back to the end of the show. And we're just here to say goodbye. And we probably don't have much other information to impart. We could have done the goodbye bit as it was, but let's stick to the usual format. Dan, is there anyone you'd like to say goodbye to or thank, or any messages before we let these good people go?
Well, as I said before, thanks to everyone who came to the event. Thanks to everyone from the other events who were so complimentary about what we were up to, who were attending for any of the other events. Thanks to everyone who's hanging around and still listening to us after we've been missing for such a long time. Thank you to everyone who followed us over to the Hobby Hour. Please, I'd encourage you all to do so, because we actually get to talk about some pretty interesting non-Middle-earth related topical conversations, which is pretty cool.
Yep, and we do talk about Middle-earth on there as well. We've actually talked about the little bit of Middle-earth news that there was there first, because it happened to come up after in our Warhammer Fest episode on there, so you may well get some stuff sooner. But yes, other than that, thank you for everyone that hasn't unsubscribed and is keeping us in their list. As I said earlier, we will still produce podcasts as and when we feel we've got enough content. And if you're interested in wargaming in general, do check us out on the Hobby Hour, as Dan has said. But anyway, thanks very much. Take care, guys, and we'll catch you soon.